Hey y'all, this is Auntie, and I am here to talk about the passing of Mary Cosby's son. Um, you know, Mary Cosby, of course, has been on the Bravo for some years now, and I really want to put this out there. This is really about a mother and her son. Um, because sometimes reality TV stops being entertainment and starts being about real life, as it has in the case of Mary Cosby. So, over the years of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, we watch Mary Cosby as the eccentric, polarizing, deeply spiritual housewife with shade on the side. But behind all of those designer labels that she have, and the church sermons and the conspiracy theories, there was always one thing that appeared to ground Mary, and that was her son. And what has recently unfolded over time wasn't just a storyline. It was about addiction, it was about distance, and it was about the limits of a mother's love. Y'all, let's get into this really quick. Let's talk about Mary Cosby. I don't know why I want to put an R in her name, but let's get into it, shall we? Oh, yes, we shall.
A sweet old auntie. Thank you, subscribers and my nieces and nephews, and all of y'all who have been here through the long haul. Shall we get into it? Oh, yes, we shall. It's time for Auntie Televised. It's time for Auntie Televised. It's time for Auntie
Hey y'all, welcome back everybody. Let's talk about this. Let's get into it. From season 1, Mary made one thing very clear, that her son was her entire world. With all of the speculation about Mary and her church, Mary, her with all of the stuff that we know about Mary, I just want to focus in on the mother that Mary was. If you had been with me years ago, I used to cover Housewives. I decided to discontinue covering it because it was so much stuff that was going on. It was just messy boots. And because of all of the stuff that was going on, it made me just come out of pocket, like completely out of pocket. Out here acting like a fool, okay? But one of the seasons that I never covered, or one of the shows I never covered, was Utah, right? I just didn't think that it was something that I was interested in covering on my channel, but it was something that I still watched. And over the recent years, I have discontinued watching it because it just became too outrageous. But I did watch some of the things, and I knew about Mary and her son by the name of Robert was basically her only child. He was raised in a church with her, and their whole household seemingly was built around faith, visibility, leadership, and expectation. But here's what really stood out to me, like very early in the show. Mary barely showed her son. Now the other housewives filmed everything. They filmed their birthdays, their boyfriends, the drama, like everything. But Mary mostly kept Robert off the screen. She kept him protected. She talked about him, right? She called him her heart, her baby, her everything. And sometimes, when your child is your everything, letting them grow up feels like losing a piece of yourself. And I think that Mary was very challenged with that. So as we watched Robert enter into adulthood, he was still living at home with his mama. And Mary openly admitted she struggled with letting him go. Um, in 2022, her son got married to a young lady by the name of Alexandria Child, Alexianna. Okay. Um, and so for what was publicly reported, what we publicly seen, this wasn't so long. It was, it wasn't a highly publicized engagement. It was quiet and frankly, kind of suddenly they got into this. And according to Mary, right, she found out that it had already happened after it happened. And so that spoke, I think, volumes to a lot of people on social media that her son would make such a life decision and not even tell her first about it. And I think that that's when people started seeing the cracks in the relationship early on. Right, there was social media posts showing them together. They appeared, in love, young, committed, and all of that kind of stuff. Right, trying to make a little stable life for themselves. But at the time, as time went on, right, their presence together became less visible. And there was no widely confirmed public divorce as I know. Y'all let me know down in the comments if y'all know anything different. And there was no court finding at the time, right, in Utah. But there was issues in the family and in the household. Mary ended up coming out and talking about her son's addiction. I think that there was some things implied that he thought that this was going to help him beat this drug habit, as many people do, right? They think that if they substitute one thing with something else, right, that it's going to ultimately fix something. And a lot of times it just doesn't. Hey, boo, how are you? Welcome. Um, I know y'all would love for me to cover these shows. I've thought about covering them, but because, like I said, I get out of pocket, I haven't been covering them. Um, if you step back, right, and look at all of the timelines that was going on with them, legal issues, the rehab efforts, the reported incarceration, it really showed that there was some real serious problems in the household and some instabilities, things that as her son grew older, right, Robert, she couldn't hide anymore. And I think frankly she probably got tired of hiding it. A lot of parents suffer through trying to hide something that a lot of other people go through in life. When you are going through addiction or problem with your children and stuff, you have a tendency to hide because you don't want anyone to judge your parental skills. Um, and so you hide and you mask it. And especially if you are on a TV show that is as cutthroat, in my opinion, as the Real Housewives of any city, state, county, whatever. It's just a cutthroat type show, and you know, you do your shady stuff, somebody else do this shady stuff, and they'll bring out all your dirt, talk about all your stuff. Hey, boo, how you doing? Yeah, you don't want to be judged. Absolutely. Hey, it's me, Angie. Yeah. Hey, y'all. I'm just trying to highlight y'all. Okay, so let me get back to this. I want to make sure I say hi. Um, Viewer discretion is advised. This is a kind of delicate subject. Okay, viewer discretion is advised. Around the time that Mary's son had gotten married and everything, right? This is when they really start having like some legal issues. They start bubbling up to the top, and I'm speaking about the driving related charges, his court appearances, right? The records getting all out into the public and people having their opinion about it and stuff like that. So, at first glance they look like it was just little mistakes that he was making, normal little teenage, well, not normal but teenage, common teenage problems. But then when it started forming like a pattern and everything, everybody was like, oh, okay, wait a minute, what's going on? So at a time in the show, Mary has started being like really open and speaking about the struggles that was going on behind the scenes. And she admitted on camera that her son was dealing with some substance issues. Um, and as you all know, like in religious communities, addiction is something that everybody kind of whispers about and stuff like that. Because in the eyes of a lot of people, is framed as weakness instead of like an illness. And it also is framed as if the parents could have done something about it. That, oh, you got all of this, religion and stuff like that, but you can't keep, your son from using drugs. And, everybody, processes things differently, right? Some parents coming to the acknowledgement and understand that their children are individuals and that they're going to be making their decisions. And you know what? If you're a private person and stuff like that, you're allowed that opportunity to say, this isn't my fault. But when you are in a public eyesight, people are going to judge your parental skills, whether you have the ability to keep your children off drugs and stuff like that. That's all on you. That's your responsibility, especially when they don't particularly care for you. And I think that Mary was one of those people. If either you loved her or you didn't, come on, y'all, let me know down in the comment section. Either you loved Mary or you didn't. And that is the same with all of the housewives, right? In all of the cities. We judge, and I'm putting we in there, we oftentimes times judge people off of the success of their kids or the demise or their behavior. We do, y'all. We do. We do. Let's just tell the truth and shame the devil. We judge each other based on our kids. And when you're being judged on it, you have a lot of shame. So it takes a lot, no matter how cuckoo for puffs we thought Mary was, because I know some stuff Mary was doing, child. I was like, what is going on? So you judge people off of that, and so there's a shame that comes along with it. And if anybody has ever been through shames, how have been through shame, how destructive that is. It's destructive to everything in your life, your self esteem, your self worth. You start to judge your value. You judge yourself by what your children do, even though people make their own decisions. As a parent and stuff, you get judged about that stuff, right? This auntie's advice, we're gonna tell the truth. And Mary was no different than any of us, right? It's framed as weakness, incompetency, but yet through all of that, she did cry and admit on the show that her son was dealing with substance issues. Even at the tell all that they recently had, she talked about her son. We won't go into all of that, but she absolutely talked about her son and just the normal fears that any regular mother who's not on television week after week, season after season, she talked about it. She talked about the rehab, and she talked about trying to get him some help, and basically admitted that she really didn't know what else to do for him. I'm gonna read to y'all and show y'all some articles. Let's talk about it. Do I have one or two? Let me see how many I got, y'all. Okay, I think I just have this one. So I have this one. This is coming from E News. Mary Cosby breaks silence on her son Robert Cosby Jr.'s death. Let me bring it up on the screen and share it with y'all. I'm hoping everybody had a fantastic day today. Please feel free to talk in the comment section. We go live over here on this channel so that you can have the freedom to discuss it in a live, to share your thoughts with the other people who are in the comment section. Anybody you see presented in green is a member of Auntie's Advice. That is, a member is a paid subscription, right, to have access to a private room where we talk about things privately. Currently, right now, we're talking about America's Next Top Model and other things. Okay, the stuff that we can't say out here, we say in there. Okay. So I just want everybody to feel like they can have a free conversation. Let's just make sure that we are being respectful. So in this article, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Mary Cosby, spoke out about her son. The 23-year-old was found dead after police responded to a possible overdose, and that is per the authorities. This article is from, again, E! News. Gabrielle Chung is the writer. Um, Please excuse all of the ads. I need to get an ad blocker. So in this article, they said Mary is mourning her son's death. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star who shared the 23-year-old with her husband Robert confirmed his passing on February 25th, 2 days after he was found dead at Salt Lake City by Salt Lake City police. She said, "Our beloved son, Robert Jr., has been called home to the Lord." Mary put this in a statement to TMZ. She said, though our hearts ache, we take comfort in God's promise and in knowing He is finally at peace. We are grateful for your prayers and trust in the Lord to carry us through this time of sorrow. And again, he was discovered on February 23rd after officers responded to a possible overdose. A spokesperson for the Salt Lake City Police Department told E! News. The medical examiner is still investigating the cause of his passing. The TV personality, whose legal troubles and sobriety journey was documented on his mom's Bravo show, was released from the Salt Lake City County Metro Jail earlier this month following a 2-month stint, according to his attorney. Mary says it allowed him to sober up and start thinking clearly. He's looking forward to doing positive things. The difficulty is that he was slow to recognize the dissolution of his marriage, but now he understands the relationship is over and moving forward. So, in my opinion, this is the first time I've heard Mary talk about that the relationship was over. I just was talking about that, not knowing whether or not there was anything that confirmed that, but Mary has just confirmed that his there was a dissolution of his marriage. You know what? That oh my God. So now we remember this. Okay, so it says in December, Robert Jr. pled guilty to 8 out of 14 charges, including assault and violating a pretrial protective order obtained by his estranged wife Alexana. Smoke off 21, according to court documents obtained by People. 6 misdemeanor charges were dismissed with prejudice. During the Real Housewives 6 reunion last month, Mary said she was not worried about her son despite his troubled past. She was quoted as saying, I know he's somewhere where he's not using. At some point, I have to step back so that he can learn and he can make his own decisions. And unfortunately, he's learning the hard way, but I'm okay with that. So I'll make sure that I give you all the link. I'll put it in the description box so you can read the rest of this. They are highlighting the doting mother. They're talking about the addiction and the sobriety journey. And it's just so sad to see him, her beautiful boy, the wedding surprise. So, there's a lot of information, y'all, that y'all can read by clicking on the description box and going directly to the article. um, as I read and talked about previously, Mary has shared that, her son was in rehabilitation. Of course, as a mom, she had expressed hope that he would come out differently, renewed and changed. But as we all know, recovery is rarely linear. There were additional reported legal troubles between 2022 and through 2024. We've already talked about the arrest in the article from E! News. Some reports suggested that the incarceration may have provided a temporary sobriety for him. But as we all know, many of us, we watch Live After Lockup and other shows, and we know that if you want to get to some drugs, it doesn't make a difference whether you're in jail or out of jail. It is available for you in a lot of facilities. Unfortunately, they have not been able to, get a hold on stuff like that. So while you would think, right, that they wouldn't have access to certain things. Some of them graduate to other drugs and other creative ways of creating something that will get them high or whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. What are you saying, Miss Linda? Hey boo. Miss Linda said, this is very sad. My 50-year-old nephew Robert just passed away a few weeks ago. Oh, I'm so sorry, Linda. Alcoholism. My nephew went to sleep and never woke up. I'm so sorry to hear that. I send my condolences to you, sweetie. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh, your sis sends you love. She says, I'm so sorry to hear that, Linda. PN to Raw said, I had a conversation today with my team and tried to explain drugs. No side is the way to explain drugs. No side is the way to solve any problem. We as parents have to talk more with our children about real life. That is so, so, so true. That is so, so, so true. Wow. And it is hard for a lot of these kids to live on and off camera. Like our kids have the most of our children have the benefit of being off the camera. A little bit of false privacy, or at least where they not attached to us. But with these kids, every little thing is under a microscope because you're on television. You're expected to perform. What made Mary's family different from ours and a lot of people who are on social media, that everything comes out on that camera because they want to capture this, right? I just was saying in another video, drama sells. It just does. People would rather watch a show for the negativity than demand positivity and to demand all of the this fighting and stuff start. I sat the other day because I really have been, and I know those of you all who have been with me for a while, y'all know where I'm coming from with this, right? I really have been wanting to do the reviews, to start doing reviews again of the Housewives, but it's so negative. I sat and watched the Real Housewives of Potomac, just a little, a smidget of the show. And the way that those women was cutting up in them ballroom dresses, some of the dresses, honey, looked like they was going to the Mardi Gras. But anyway, I digress. And to see where this show has gone is so negative. And in the past, when I was watching these shows and reviewing them, it made sense why people were on the show, right? It made sense on all of the franchises. But now it's like these people are going to auditions to get on here just to be nasty with one another. It's just disgusting. And then to find out that Ashley, I cannot think of her daggone name, but one of the original cast members of Potomac, she was with the woman's son, flirting with him or kissed him or something like. I was like, I know. I said, I know you lying. These women get on here to argue and fight. The arguments don't even make sense. Anytime Giselle is sitting back and not saying anything, she kissed him. Okay. You right, Linda. Which is why I took a sabbatical from it. Because it gets in your skin, in your mind. You hunger for that drama and for all of that mess. Like tomorrow, I'm gonna be talking about Lisa's daughter on 90 Day Fiance, how she went and did this interview and she was giving up so much information. I was like, how does she know all of this? She's her mother's mouthpiece. This girl has gone through all of this trauma. Her mother been married to 5 different people. She'd got a real father, a stepfather, a this father, a that father, and she just is confused. And she's sitting up here talking about all this anxiety. Like, these kids go through enough, right, with their parents being out here and having to hide their life, not really having cameras in your face at all times. That's a lot. That's a lot. I don't know if it was the stuff that was going on at the church, the pressure from that, like, but drug addiction is mean, it is nasty, it is unrelenting. And you really gotta be in a headspace, and your environment has to be conducive to healing. Mary always called him her beautiful son. But here's the truth that too many people absolutely avoid. You can love somebody deeply and still not be able to save them. There was like a reunion conversation that felt a little heavy, right? Where Mary admitted that she was afraid of losing him. And, when a parent says that out loud, that's at a whole different level. Sometimes when people talk about the worst case scenario, it's because they've already seen how close it can get to them. And so for her to even acknowledge that sometimes she had to let him learn, y'all know how that is as parents when you see your children, going in another way and you've already tried everything that you can try and you have to get into the position, I'm going to step back because they got to learn. That's a hard place to come from. And it's a hard place to go to. It's one of the hardest things you will ever have to do as a parent is turn from parenting to counseling. That you just got to sit back and you hope that they recover. And unfortunately, he didn't. He didn't recover. And now Mary's without her son. It's so sad because he was a beautiful young man, and I'm sure, like every other child, full of promise. One thing about addiction that I have learned over the years is that it don't care how much money you got. It don't care about your status. It don't care about how much you or your family love the Lord. It don't care about fame. It just don't. And with Mary being on reality TV, right, y'all? Reality TV, although we can go back and look at Mary's tears and her stress, it didn't, and it can't cure addiction. It can't heal trauma. Because behind Mary's persona on Bravo, her little storyline and her catchphrase, it's hard to navigate real life, especially with something like this. Especially something like this. I'm so sad that this has happened. Dr. Chris said addiction is a disease point blank in the period. Absolutely. Auntie Eva 4098, welcome. Says her only child. May he rest in peace. May he rest in peace. And may Mary live in peace eventually. Because from what I hear, that is one of the hardest things to overcome is burying your child. Because children are supposed to bury their parents, not the opposite way. So regardless of all of the conspiracy theories, the allegations of her church being a cult, Mary not being a nice person, and considered all of that, she a parent at the end of the day. Her real life is she a parent. And now she has to parent from heaven. She got to parent him in heaven. I can't even imagine. He fought the good fight. I can say that because he tried. Oh, it's okay, boo. That's why I said viewer discretion is advised. Thank you for being with me for a long time. I appreciate you. PN2 Raw said, yes, may God give her peace and strength. It's me, Angie. Hey, boo. She said, amen. What you saying, Gamma Ring? Marty. Auntie, I hope we have a lot of younger cousins that can listen to you and maybe learn something because these young folks need an auntie like you. We love and appreciate you. Oh, thank you. That was so sweet. Thank you. Make sure you share it. If you or anybody else that is going through addiction or somebody you know, there is an addiction hotline. Let me see if I can find it. I want to put it down in the comment section. There is help. Hold on. Let me put it in the comment section. You never know who is going to come through. Let me put this paste this in. Okay, so there is help. I just put that down in my comment section for you or anybody else who you know is struggling. Thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate y'all. And until we meet again, y'all be safe out there in those streets and in the water and allow yourself some grace. Okay, Dr. Chris said you can call 2112 and they will connect you to the right resources. Allow yourself some grace. It's okay to make a mistake. You ain't got to stay there. But allow yourself some grace. I love y'all. Y'all have a great night on purpose. Rest in peace to Robert. Bye, y'all.